progress. And why we call it some progress? Because we have break the stalemate of non-communication to starting a communication with the Saudis. Honestly, from our perspective in Qatar, we want to understand the grievances, we want to study them and to assess them, and to look at the solutions that can safeguard us in the future from any other potential crisis.
So let's take a look at some of the original claims. The Qatari royal family had licensed the funding of terrorism across the Middle East for decades. One of the claims, one of the demands to close down Al Jazeera, to downgrade ties with Iran and close a Turkish military base in Qatar, and to end contact with groups such as the Muslim Brotherhood. The Wall Street Journal reporting recently that as part of an impending thaw, Doha was, quote, willing to sever ties with the Muslim Brotherhood. Is that true?
First of all, we are a country, we are not a political party. So severing ties with political party, I don't understand what is the background of it. But Qatar has never supported Muslim Brotherhood, and it has never have a direct relation with Muslim Brotherhood as a political party. As long as they are participating in governments that elected by their own people, we have to deal with those governments. We have to deal with the people who are working in those governments. The people of those countries like Tunisia, Egypt, those are the ones who should be asked why they choose them and they didn't choose another option. We believe in Qatar that we cannot dictate for other people's what to choose and what to not if we want to really help the countries and help the people. Second, regarding the funding of terrorism, this has been proven by all our allies, by the international community, that this premise has no basis at all.
Can you share whether you are prepared to concede in any way? And if so, how? And what are Qatar's demands going forward?
Well, I think it's very clear for us. This situation has no winner. Everybody loses in that crisis. What we want to see a solution, a settlement that saving the dignity of all countries, declaring all countries as owner of this unity back, and be a forward-looking to safeguard this bloc, the GCC bloc, from any future disruption like what happened the last 2 years.
You're avoiding my question. What are you prepared to concede, and what are Qatar's demands?
There are no, as I told you, there are no concessions. We want to be forward-looking, and our demands that such a situation not be repeated again. And we say it before, we are willing to discuss anything except things that affecting the sovereignty or interference in our domestic or foreign policy. These are the main things.
Are we days, weeks, months away from the end of this?
Well, we believe that we are still at very early stage, and what happened in the last 2 years and a half was a lot, and I think there is a need for some time to rebuild that trust again.
Anwar Gargash, who is the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs in the UAE, tweeted the following: the recent Qatari leaks regarding the resolution of the Doha crisis with sister Saudi Arabia without the three countries are a repetition of Doha's endeavour to split ranks and evade obligations. He went on to say Riyadh leads a broad front of its brothers in this and other regional files and is committed to the demands of its allies, and those are essential and solid. Your response, are you trying to split the ranks by opening channels of communication with Saudi Arabia?
We are not the ones who united them or who is splitting them, and with the respect for the minister who said that Qatari leaks, it's not a Qatari leaks. We are talking visibly and with official statements that there are some progress with Saudi, so it cannot be called leak in the first place. And if in our conversation with Saudi, we want to address the issue that hurt the relationship between Qatar and Saudi, and I think this is a legitimate right for both countries. What we are talking at right now is the talks between Qatar and Saudi that should lead to a resolution for GCC crisis. We are not ignoring others, but this is the channel that started already.
Has there been pressure on both you and Riyadh to end this dispute? Is that where the sort of fulcrum for this progress is coming from?
Well, we have seen that our allies are not happy with the situation in the Gulf, and we are not happy with the situation in the Gulf. We don't want to say that this is a result of pressure, but we hope that this is a result of goodwill of both parties to engage in a constructive solution.
Qatar, of course, is home to America's largest base in the region, the Al Ubaid Air Base. This weekend, you are hosting President Trump's daughter and advisor, Ivanka Trump, as well as the Iranian Foreign Minister, Javad Zarif. How effective has Qatar's role been in mediating between Washington and Tehran?
First of all, if we're talking about the United States, our relation with the United States is very important. The U.S. will remain a very important ally for the state of Qatar. We have the largest air base. We have a strong, very strong economic cooperation, a cooperation in the area of education. 6 American universities which are operating here in Qatar. And Iran, from the other side, Iran, it's our neighbor. Agreeing or disagreeing with them is something, but we cannot change the fact that they are our neighbor and we are sharing with them our largest gas field. We disagree with Iran policies in the region, but we talk to them because we believe that disagreement can be only resolved by dialogue, and we always encourage both parties to talk to each other because we believe that this situation, if it will evolve, it will be harmful for everyone in the Gulf, not only for us in Qatar. We are not mediating between them, but we are trying to talk to our allies all the time. We are trying to talk to our neighbor all the time to de-escalate and to calm down, to start to engage in a dialogue.
The former Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, was very clear in trying to mediate an end to the GCC rift. Not least, he says, because the US has a lot of skin in the game with the huge military base here. That was counter to the Trump administration, or at least those close to Donald Trump, including Jared Kushner, who had taken the side of the Saudis. Do you see that cohort of advisors around Donald Trump now pivoting back to Qatar at this point?
Well, we see that President Trump and his staff are working and trying very hard to resolve this issue, and we have seen these attempts ourselves several times, and we hope that will lead to a solution. The role of the U.S. and U.S. leadership will remain very important. The U.S. is an ally of Qatar and the rest of the quartet.
How important for the region is it that Riyadh and Tehran start talking to each other?
We believe it's very, very important that we have a regional-led solution, because if we are looking at the issue that's happening now and the escalation happening with Iran, the direct effect is on the region. It's not in any country in the West, whether it's the United States or the others. And we believe that we need to sit together around the table and to address the real concerns in that relation between Iran and the entire Gulf countries. And I think this was part of the criticism of the JCPOA that didn't include the GCC region. We see now there is an opportunity that everybody comes on the table and have a candid discussion. What kind of relationship we want to have between Iran and the Gulf countries. And we say that we need to agree on certain security principles that everybody should adhere to and identify which areas of cooperation we can cooperate together, to coexist together. Because we cannot change the geography. We have to live with it, but we have to make sure that we know how to live with it for the betterment of our people.
Are we seeing a revamp of Saudi Arabia's foreign policy with moves, for example, to end the war in Yemen, trying to clearly get involved in ending this rift with Qatar as well?
Well, Saudi Arabia is a very important country in the Gulf and very important country in the Arab region. And the Saudi role should be a leadership role that ending conflicts and really looking for a solution. And we commend them for the step that they are taking to end the war in Yemen and even to put an end for the GCC rift, which is which is now taking more time than it should. It shouldn't happen in the first place, but even it's taking a longer time. We hope that this is also will create a new opening, that the GCC as a bloc led by the Saudis to have a direct discussion and dialogue with Iran. We want to see a peaceful region. This region is very important for the peace and stability of the world.
Are we back from the brink? Certainly there is talk of de-escalation. Are you still concerned that there could be military conflict?
Well, we hope that no military conflict will happen in that region, because it will be very disruptive. We see that in response to a lot of activities that happened here, U.S. showed a restraint. And this is something we encourage, because we don't want to have any confrontation between the U.S. and Iran. And Iran has expressed their willingness to engage with the region several times. So I think we need to take this expression of interest more seriously in our region.
You have good relations with Ankara, which goes against the kind of grain of how other Arab countries feel, particularly those of the quartet at present. Would you be willing to re-engineer that relationship with Turkey, pull away from Turkey in order to ensure a solution to this Gulf dispute?
We are not willing to compromise our relationship with countries because of relation with another country. And this is something we have been very clear with. Even adding to this, morally and ethically, you cannot turn your back on a people who stood with you on your difficult time. And we are a small country, and we understand this very well, and we value this very much. So any country that opened up for us and helped us during our crisis, we will remain grateful for them. Our people will remain grateful for them. And